Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I want to share a little bit of a trick here today that the old timers used to make their canned goods taste better and go further. A lot of times, all they had was canned goods. They had stuff that they either canned themselves, stuff that they got really cheap, stuff that they produced. So they would do their best to make those things taste better and last longer. They did the best they could with what they had. And this is a particular recipe that I remember when I was a kid that got used a lot. Both my mother and grandmother used this recipe with stuff that they had there. And canned pork and beans was something that pretty much every farmhouse around here had when I was growing up. And I seen this stuff very, very cheap. I seen this stuff on sale for 15 cents a can when I was a kid growing up. So pretty much everybody had some of this. And of course, mustard and ketchup were two things that were in pretty much everybody's household, no matter how austere the conditions were. Ketchup was either homemade or it was store-bought. Mustard was in every farmhouse around here. Molasses was another thing that a lot of people kept. Molasses. There was always a jug of molasses in the old farmhouses because molasses, like honey, keeps forever. And then, of course, sugar, bacon that I'm using in this recipe here. Bacon was pretty much smoked in the fall, and then it was kept in the smokehouse all winter. They'd butcher a hog in the fall. That bacon and ham would get smoked, and it would just hang out there, and when they need it, they would go out and get it. And then, of course, onions would be in cold storage, and then I've got some dried bell peppers here. If this recipe was made in the summertime, they would just use fresh onions and bell peppers out of the garden. But what they would do is they would kind of mix all this stuff together, and they would make those pork and beans taste amazing, and it would be something that would go further. They could stretch it, and they would you would have this with like either pork steak, or you would maybe have it with sausage or something like that. And this was made both in summer and winter. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick here how to make this. I'm gonna get my my Mr. Heater cooker going here, kind of showing you how to do this on the Mr. Heater cooker outside here in case it would be like a power outage or it would be like out camping or something. Not all cooking's got to be done in the kitchen. The kitchen can really be anywhere. So I'm gonna start this guy up. And this is a real simple recipe. Doesn't take very long, and the ingredients are a lot of things most people have anyway. In fact, I've even made this with like the packaged bacon crumbles that are shelf stable. Sausage and ham were another two things that they would put in this if they didn't have bacon. So we'll get our pot on here, and all we're going to do is we're going to open up our cans. And these are some pork and beans that expired back in 2020, so it's time that they get used up anyway. And that little howl right there, that is something, if you have these old Mr. Heater cookers, that is just a natural part of the operation. They make that humming sound. And they would put in about anywhere between 4 and 8 ounces of bacon before they had it cooked. You want to leave it a little bit soft so it's got a little bit of that fat to flavor this up. So I actually got this done ahead of time here, so get that in there. Now this is dried bell peppers that we dried this year. Like I said, if it was in the summertime, you could use fresh out of the garden. I like a mixture of both the green and the red. That's going to go in, and that tomato sauce in there is actually going to soak into that, and that's what's going to reconstitute those peppers. And then brown sugar. They would always say put in enough brown sugar. That was about half the size of your fist, and my grandmother's hand was a lot smaller than mine, so I'm gauging that was about half the size of her fist. And 2 small onions or 1 medium onion. These are onions that we grew in the garden this year. We're going to put those in. Give this a little bit of a stir. And that brown sugar, as that starts to heat, that'll break up. Turn my heat down here a little bit on low. Then they would put in what they would call just a dash of molasses, which is probably about a tablespoon, and they never measured any of this stuff. Same thing with pepper. They would put in, I'd say, about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And ketchup, I always thought was funny. They always said two spoonsful. They didn't say teaspoons. They said 2 spoonsful of ketchup. So, and then they were always heaping spoonsful. So there's the 2 spoonsful of ketchup. And then they would put in 1 spoonful of mustard. And got the liquid in there, but that's all right. Well, let's try this. And a good spoonful of mustard. You'd give that a little, get that off the spoon there, set that to the side. Now this wouldn't have to cook very long. They would keep this on kind of the lowest setting, and they would stir this occasionally because you don't want the sugar to burn, but usually about 15 minutes or so, so the flavors got all incorporated and the onions and the peppers got softened up, and then it was done. So I'm going to put the lid on this here, keep an eye on it, and I'm going to come back to you guys when this is done. Alright guys, it's been about a good 10-15 minutes. You just want this on long enough so that the onions are translucent and the peppers, if you're using dried peppers, are soft. So we're going to open this guy up here and see it's cooking. You can kind of see there the onions are starting to get translucent. It means they gave all their flavor into the sauce. I'm going to set this off here. Turn my heat off. Give it another little stir. And this right here, you could have this as a side dish with pretty much anything that you would like. Or if you had just this, you could have this with some biscuits or some cornbread and you'd be good to go. So we're going to get a little of this here in the cup and give it a taste. Let her cool down because she is hot. A little piece of pepper, a little piece of bacon, a little piece of onion. Yep, everything's soft, everything's tender. You got the sweetness from the brown sugar and the molasses. You got the smokiness of the bacon. You got a little tanginess from the ketchup and the mustard. Just a real simple way to take canned stuff and just make it taste better and make it last longer. Like I said, this could just be a regular meal that you had with either biscuits and cornbread, or you could have this with a side dish with pretty much anything, sausage, hamburgers, or whatever. And just thought I'd make it outside here and show you guys just how simple this was with just an old beat up Mr. Heater cooker. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information and a little entertainment out of my video. Hope you guys enjoyed this story and little tip here. You guys have a good one.